Well, welcome everyone to the regular board meeting of the Industrial Development Authority, April 13th, 2023. The time is now 1:30 and 15 seconds. I try to be prompt. That's a joke. At this time, we'll do the roll call. Laura?
Thank you, Chair Reed. Director Fall?
Here.
Director Pinella?
Here.
Director Young?
Here.
Chair Reed?
Gary Reed,
Gary Reed.
here. Seeing that we do have a quorum, first order of business is to approve the minutes of the last meeting, which was Thursday, January 19th, 2003. Okay. Are there any additions or corrections?
I, Director Pinella, move that we approve the minutes from January 13th, 2023.
Director Young, second.
All righty. Roll call.
Director Fall?
No objection. I assume that's what happened.
Okay, Director Pinella?
Aye.
Director Young?
Aye.
Chair Reed?
Aye. First order of business is Resolution 23 IDA 03, the appointment of Laura Bryant to replace Bonnie Wade as our Assistant Secretary. This will be presented by James Morrow.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, members of the board. Can everyone hear us all right?
Yes.
All right. So there's been some change up in the composition of the board. We have a new director, Mr. James Fall, has joined us. There has also been some change up in the composition of staff. Bonnie Wade, who is our longtime Assistant Secretary, has moved to a new role in City Hall, and the Law Department's development team has gained Laura Bryant as our paralegal. So in the interim, Laura has been filling in with some of the administrative duties, assisting with the IDA. This resolution formalizes her role as an Assistant Secretary of the corporation so that she can have the authority to fulfill secretarial duties like attesting to board documentation and other such tasks. I'm available if anyone has any questions.
Seeing none, is there a motion on 23 IDA 03?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I move that 23 IDA 03 be approved. Director Young.
And Director Pinella, I second.
Very good. Roll call.
All right, Director Fall?
Aye.
Director Pinella?
Aye.
Director Young?
Aye.
And Chair Reed?
Aye. Motion passes. A new gavel. Item 2 is Resolution 23 IDA 04. And this is to fund the acquisition, rehabilitation, construction at Marquette Homes project, which is located in Gravois Park in Dutchtown neighborhood. Is Michelle?
I'm here.
Oh, all right.
Good afternoon,
ready.
everyone. This project is the Marquette Homes project, and this is the preliminary approval and the inducement resolution. So this will be the first time that you see this project. And the bond amount is up to $20 million with $2,550,000 as permanent debt. The use of funds will be to finance the acquisition, rehabilitation, and construction of the Marquette Homes project, which is a scattered site redevelopment located in the Gravois Park and Dutchtown neighborhoods. The total project cost is $25,604,495. In your memo, there is the additional public assistance listed, which includes low-income housing tax credits, both federal and state, historic tax credits, both federal and state, MHDC home loan, CDA home funds, and an MHDC National Housing Trust Fund loan. There is also tax abatement on this project at 10 years at 90%, and then 5 years at 50%. So it's 15 years total of tax abatement. The developers are Rise Community Development, which is a Missouri nonprofit, and Lutheran Development Group, which is also a Missouri nonprofit. The borrower is Marquette Homes Partners LP, and the managing general partner is St. Louis Public Development Corporation 13 and an affiliate of Rise Community Development. The property manager will be Fox Grove. Bond counsel is Waylon Watson of Gilmore and Bell. And the bonds will be privately placed with Sterling Bank or another bank to be identified by the developer. And as stated before, this scattered site development, so there are 40 multifamily housing units in 6 buildings that are listed in the resolution. There's also sites for construction of 20 new multifamily housing units in 5 buildings, which will be built on currently vacant land. And those properties are also identified in your resolution. 50 of the units will be at 60% AMI, and 10 of the units will be at 30%. Rise and LDG are also partnering on this project with the VA Homeless Services Division, who is committed to assigning 10 project-based VASH vouchers to the project. This will be either through the allocation of new voucher awards for the fiscal year or through the conversion of existing vouchers. In turn, 10 units of service-enriched housing for veterans have been set aside in the 60-unit development. There will be 13 one-bedroom units, 22 bedroom units, and 27 three-bedroom units. And the Marquette Homes project is designed to meet the various housing needs of the residents of the Gravois Jefferson Historic Neighborhood Planning Area, which includes families and single-person households. Also, Rise and LDG have partnered with the VA Homeless Services Division. The developers have selected rehab properties for community impact, as they are in poor condition and viewed as a hindrance to the neighborhood stabilization and security. The buildings require substantial rehabilitation, and Marquette Homes will use state and federal historic tax credits for the redevelopment. They also intend for Marquette Homes to transform buildings into neighborhood assets that will serve those living in Dutchtown. Marquette Homes will offer units that house modern amenities. Appliances and interior systems will be new, efficient, and sensitive to the original aesthetic. All appliances will be Energy Star certified, and the units will all have washer and dryer hookups. So the requested action is approval of the attached resolution. And we have representatives of the project joining us if there are any questions.
This is Fall. I have a couple just because I'm new, so please bear with me on some of this. So this is just for the bonding portion of it. Have there been any discussions yet, or do we know who the developers are going to be utilizing for the actual work done, or is that premature and this is just for the planning portion?
I can answer that. Hi, I'm Jess Henry with Rice Community Development. We have selected our general contractor. They will be EM Harris, who we've worked with on a number of projects and who have a long history working on LIHTC developments and development using historic tax credits.
And they're the general for the whole project?
They're the general for the entire project, yes.
Okay. And in the borrower, it references obviously the Marquette Homes Partners LP, and then the SLPDC 13, but it then says and an affiliate of Rise Community Development. So who is that affiliate of Rise? Are they not listed? Or is that a typo error?
So PDC 13 is an affiliate of Rise Community Development. So I think that's how it should read.
Oh, okay. So that's a further description of Corporation 13. Okay. Not an unknown, another unknown entity. I appreciate that clarification. And then my final question on these, and again, I promise I won't be like this in every meeting as I learn more and more. But what information or what kind of interaction do we have with the neighborhood associations and the different neighborhood groups and the folks that live in these areas when we're kind of putting these projects together?
Sure. So we've actually been working on this Marquette Homes project for about 5 years. We applied that many times before receiving a LIHTC allocation. And this is also kind of a continuation, almost a phase 2 of our nearby Chippewa Park development that was completed a few years ago and had a very similar profile. So we're very active in the neighborhoods and have had and maintained support for our various developments there, including Marquette Homes, over the last several years. With each LIHTC application, we submitted letters of support from the 2 aldermen for Dutchtown and Gravois Park, neighborhood associations, and other community development and nonprofits that work in the area and who are partnering with us on things like our service plan. We also went to the development review committee that was set up after approval of the Gravois Jefferson plan and showed our full project profile, kind of our draft architectural renderings, et cetera, at that meeting, and received a letter of support and very favorable comments from the members of that committee. So I think overall there's a lot of excitement. One of the buildings in particular in this development, 3305 Merrimack, is a really important building in downtown Dutchtown, but is, kind of on its last leg at risk of kind of collapse. And so there's been a huge neighborhood desire to see something happen with that property in particular. And then with the addition of 3600 South Grand, the Melba Theater, into this development, I think that just increased the excitement around it. There's been a lot of activity there for several years with a couple of for-profit developers trying to get that done through kind of conventional real estate development. And it's just been really tough for them, which led us to partner with Garcia Properties, the current owner, and set up, incorporate it into our Marquette Homes project profile, and just, having the benefit of the 4% low-income housing tax credit is what's getting that, done really, along with a competitive allocation of state historic tax credits. So we've been working on this for a number of years and have been very transparent in involving the various neighborhood organizations and even individuals when we're out and about, ask about this, and it's recently gotten some press as well. So
yeah, please don't take my please don't take my question as to imply otherwise.
Oh no, not at all.
For my own edification.
Not at all.
And then very finally, and I know this is just a first reading and it won't be like this, so there's time to ask more questions as this goes through our process. But on the publicly placed, privately offered, where the bonds are, it lists Sterling Bank and then says, or another bank to be identified by the developer. Do we have any say on that? Or if it's going to be somebody other than Sterling, or is it just, this is the plan and we're out of it once we approve it?
This is Waylon Watson. I'm bond counsel to the ID on the transaction. I can sort of clarify that. Sterling Bank is the intended purchaser, so that is normally negotiated between the development team and the purchasing bank, because effectively the bank is really the one making the loan and taking the financial risk in the transaction. It's simply done through a tax-exempt bond financing in order to qualify the project for the low-income housing tax credits. And so we sort of always include that or other bank language in these resolutions, just in case anything changes after today that might necessitate the borrower switching to a different bank from Sterling.
And if that's the case, are we made aware of that prior to the switch, or is this a just a blanket approval at this board and we wouldn't hear back from it? Again, I'm just asking for edification.
Sure. No, you will definitely hear back because we will have to come back to the board for a final bond resolution once all the financing documents have been negotiated and the parties are getting close to being ready to close on the financing. And so at that point, if there were any material changes from what was presented today, we would point those out and make you aware of them.
Wonderful, thank you. I have no other questions.
Just Michelle, a suggestion for the future when in the memo, can you include community organizations or any organizations that have been included in the decision-making or participated in process of taking it to this level? Because I will be interested in knowing, what community organizations have been consulted about these projects and how that will impact the community.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll take note of that, yeah.
Ms. Henry? Henry? I just had a couple of questions.
Yes.
I drove by several of these properties today. It didn't appear that there were any occupants in any of them. Is that true?
Yes, that's correct. The 6 historic rehab buildings are all vacant, and then otherwise we're dealing with vacant lots.
On the case of those 2 commercial neighborhood buildings, particularly the 3600 South Grand, and then again on Merrimack, is there a plan for any commercial business in that area on the first floor, or is it all going to be strictly residential?
So we plan on, there are small areas designated for future commercial. As part of this project, we'll really just kind of white box and prepare, do the basic preparations for the future for that. The scope of this is really the 60 residential units, but we do intend to preserve the original storefronts and have, future commercial spaces available. No tenants have been identified or anything like that. Fully building them out is a little beyond the scope of what this current project can do. But we do want to preserve those original commercial areas and storefronts for future use.
And finally, we did some things at Fox Park some time ago with the Messiah Lutheran Church. Another scattered site is the Lutheran Development Group. Are they affiliated with the Messiah Lutheran Group?
I can't speak to their particular affiliation. I'm not aware of that, but if you're talking about their East Fox project, then yes, I think that's kind of their origin story. I think starts with Messiah. I saw Mark's camera popped on. He was around for that, so he can probably answer better.
Yeah, Jess, that was sort of the antecedent of this particular development. Chris Sherman, who's the executive director of what is now the Lutheran Development Group, was the president of that congregation when we started the East Fox. He was the one who brought the idea for that development to Rise and asked if we could help him. And out of a very early conversation has grown a number of developments, including the one that's before you now. We worked with them on the development of the Eagle Charter School and the Intersect Arts Center, Chippewa Park, and then East Fox, and then several single-family home developments.
Thank you. Is there any question from any board members? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve 23 IDA 04?
Director Pinella suggest we approve IDA 2304.
Director Young, second.
Director Young. Roll call?
Okay, Director Fall,
At this time, yay.
Director Pinella,
Yes.
Director Young,
Aye.
and Chair Reed.
Aye. The opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Moving on to 23 IDA 05, Crossroads Senior Living at the Bevo Mill. Michelle? Well, we lost,
Oops, sorry. This project is Crossroads at Senior Living at Bevo Mill, as stated. This again is preliminary approval and the inducement resolution. The bond amount will be up to $9.5 million. The use of funds will be to finance the acquisition, construction, and equipping of the Crossroads Senior Living at Bevo Mill project, which will be developed on a vacant lot at 4900 Gravois Avenue in the city of St. Louis. Total project cost is $18,601,500. There's also additional public assistance for this project, which includes low-income housing tax credits, both federal and state, MHDC home and city AHC funds, MHDC National Housing Trust Fund, and HUD 202 funds. There is also a tax abatement for 10 years at 95% and 5 years at 50%, so 15 years total, which has been approved by the city as Ordinance 71420. In early 2021, HUD issued a notice of funding for its Section 202 supportive housing for the elderly program. The program provides capital grants and rental assistance to qualifying nonprofit organizations. The developer is Crossroads Living, LIHTC GP, LLC. And the borrower is Crossroads Living, LIHTC LP, with Crossroads Living, LIHTC GP, LLC is the managing general partner of the borrower and consists of two nonprofit members, which are Lutheran Senior Services and Tower Grove Community Development Corporation. And the property manager will be Lutheran Senior Services. Bond counsel is Waylon Watson of Gilmore and Bell. And the bonds are expected to be purchased by Midwest Bank Center or another bank to be identified by the applicant. Project will involve the new construction of 64 housing units for seniors 62 and older who need access to an array of services to maintain independence. The building will include 52 one-bedroom units and 12 two-bedroom units. 30 of the one-bedroom units will be set aside as PRAC units under HUD Section 202 program. 10 of those units will be targeted to residents whose incomes will not exceed 30% of AMI, while the remainder will be targeted for residents at or below 50% AMI. An additional 18 one-bedroom and 11 two-bedroom units will be operated as affordable under the LIHTC program, with all of those units reserved for residents whose incomes will not exceed 60% of AMI. The remaining 7 units will be market rate. This project is being co-developed by 2 nonprofit corporations, Lutheran Senior Services and Tower Grove Community Development Corporation. It involves the construction of a new 4-story building with 64 units of supportive residential housing for senior citizens. It is located on a 1.86 acre rectangular site at the corner of Gravois and Morganford in the Bevo Mill neighborhood. It will be a 2-elevator apartment building with approximately 66,200 gross square feet. It was previously owned by Midwest Bank Center and was the site of a bank branch building. The bank wanted a smaller and more efficient branch operation and donated the property to TGCDC to facilitate the development of this project. The bank also paid to demolish the old branch building, and now the site is ready for the new development. It will be built using the Enterprise Green Communities Building Standard. Each unit will have a refrigerator, oven and range, microwave, dishwasher, garbage disposal, and hookups for washer and dryer. All units will be generously sized. However, the individual storage lockers will be available for a nominal monthly rental on a first-come, first-served basis. It will contain certain universal design features such as accessible parking spaces and route from parking to entries, and motion-activated wide sliding doors at entry. All units will be fully accessible or adaptable. All doors will have lever handles. Floor coverings will consider mobility impaired residents, grab bars at toilets and showers, and elevator access to the second, third, and fourth floors. Building will be designed to UFAS and ADA standards. Project will include an exterior wall and windows that are better than average to comply with the Enterprise Green Communities requirements for the building envelope and provide the residents with reduced energy costs. It also improves the interior sound levels to an acceptable decibel range. And these are important to improve the quality of life for the residents. They will have access to on-site management and maintenance staff, a service coordinator, and an array of supportive services. These services will be conducted by LSS and provided using LSS and various community service providers, leveraging as many resources as possible to provide quality services to residents. LSS brings experience to the project in several key areas of support, which is the service coordinator, transportation, project wellness, enrichment activities, exercise and fitness, financial and budgeting counseling, and employment services. And the requested action is approval of the attached resolution of 23 IDA 05. And there are representatives of the project here if there are any questions.
Any questions from the board?
Is there a general pick for this project?
Yes, this is Jerry Burke. I'm the development consultant for the project. As Michelle mentioned, the two lead developers on this are Lutheran Senior Services, which is represented by Nikki Jennings, and Tower Grove Neighborhood, which is represented by Sean Spencer. Sean has recused himself since he's a member of the board of the LCRA, I believe it is. And we have selected, we've been working on this project for about 5 years. We've been working with E.M. Harris, who you may know from the previous resolution. So E.M. Harris will be the general contractor for this project. And they were selected because of their really their unique ability to do this type of project in the city. They're very familiar with the minority participation requirements of the tax credit program and the tax abatement program, and have been just a very good partner with us all along. So E.M. Harris will be our general contractor.
Thank you, and I appreciate the reference to the participation requirements.
Yeah, I have a question. It might not be really relatable to the development exactly, but I'll be curious to find out what kind of language is Lutheran Senior Services using for anti-discrimination, if it's inclusive of LGBTQ transgender residents.
So are you talking specifically in marketing or just LSS in general?
LSS in general, when it comes to accommodating to prospective clients that are coming into applying to live in the building.
So we
or
follow
in
all
the new facilities.
Sure. So we follow all fair housing laws. So obviously, I mean, we would not discriminate against anyone for any of the protected classes, and that would include our LGBTQ potential residents as well.
And language is included in your non-discrimination policy, although it's included in the law, but do you have anything?
I believe it is. I can double check that. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it should be. And if not, we can definitely make sure that that is added in there. So.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
No other questions, Chair.
Any other questions from members of the board?
No.
Would there be a motion to approve 23 IDA 05 preliminary approval?
I so move, we approve 2305.
Director Young,
Second.
second.
Great. Roll call?
Director Fall,
Approve it this time.
Director Pinella,
Aye.
Director Young,
Aye.
and Chair Reed.
Aye. Continue to the chair. Ayes have it. Moving on to 23 IDA 06 for the St. Louis Charter School, doing business as Premier Charter School. Michelle?
Thank you. And as stated, the project is for St. Louis Charter School, doing business as the premier charter school. This is again a preliminary approval and an inducement resolution of educational facilities refunding revenue bonds. Bond amount is up to $10 million. And this will be to refund the series 2017 bonds to extend the maturity to 2030. So this project was previously approved by the IDA back in 2017. So the total project cost is also $10 million. The borrower, St. Louis Charter School, doing business as Premier Charter School, which is a Missouri nonprofit corporation. Angela Oldham of Armstrong Teasdale is bond counsel, and the bonds will be privately placed with a bank identified by the applicant. And St. Louis Charter Schools located at 5279 Filer Avenue. Property is bounded on the east by Brannan Avenue, on the west by Sublette, and on the south by Filer Avenue. The bonds were originally issued in 2017 for the acquisition of the property and to improve, equip, and furnish the facilities. The St. Louis Charter School is seeking to refund those 2017 bonds to extend the maturity out another 7 years to 2030. The school has been able to successfully maintain its campus facilities since acquiring them in 2017 and navigate the many challenges posed by the pandemic, where the core focus was meeting the diverse needs of students, families, and staff. Now in 2023, the school's long-term strategic plan is being re-envisioned. The request to have the facilities bonds refunded through 2030 will allow the school to plan more effectively for the long term as they go into the 23-24 school year. So the requested action is approval of the attached resolution. And we have representatives of this project here as well, if there are any questions.
Can you explain to me a little more about how this is? You say it's a refund. Just a practical how this is working for the background and then the refund?
Sure, this is Andy Vian from Premier Charter School. I'm our Director of Finance. And just the refunding is just a simple refinancing. So we're planning on sticking with our existing buyer of the bonds. Really, the only thing that's changing is we're extending the maturity date out by 7 years. And we'll have a different interest rate because of just where interest rates are today.
Okay, so essentially just extending the bond date, the loan amount, or the loan length.
Correct. Yep.
If maybe could counsel, and again, I apologize, but could counsel for the board explain to me, how, just because it's a charter school and I'm not familiar, I'm making myself familiar with chapter 349, but how this fits in 349 and authority. I'm not questioning that it does, obviously, because we've done it, but.
Yeah, sure. And Waylon Watson is on here, who's not bond counsel, but I'm hoping may be able to help me out a little bit. But IDA has the authority to issue bonds for qualified projects, and qualified projects are specific projects that fall in certain parameters, I believe is dictated by the IRS code, which would include educational facilities, such as the charter school.
Okay. Thank you.
But essentially, this is just a refi.
Exactly. It's simply a refinance of prior IDA bonds.
Any further questions from the board? Hearing none, is there a motion to preliminary approve 23 IDA 06?
Mr. President, Director Young, I move that we preliminary approve 23 IDA 06.
Is there a second?
I second. Director Pinella, I second.
Okay. Roll call?
Director Fall,
Yes.
Director Pinella,
Aye.
Director Young,
Aye.
and Chair Reed.
Aye. Motion carried. Resolution 23 IDA 07. This is to authorizing the executive director to amend the bond and associated documents relating to the London Interbank Offered Rate, or otherwise known as LIBOR. James?
Yes, thank you. So, members of the board, this is Resolution 23 IDA 07, requesting authority for the executive director to make certain modifications to bond and loan documents. Essentially, some of the IDA's bonds are based upon a variable interest rate, and some of those variable rates are based upon the LIBOR standard, the London Interbank Offered Rate Standard. That benchmark rate is being wound up and will not be supported after June of 2023. Some of the IDA's prior bond issues that utilize LIBOR do not have a fallback rate. On occasion, you'll have language in a loan document that says the rate is determined by LIBOR. If LIBOR is not published, the rate is determined by SOFR, the prime rate, some other interest rate. Because those loan documents fall into a limbo where the cited benchmark rate is not published and there is no fallback, this gives the executive director the authorization to modify those loan agreements to utilize a different benchmark rate, very likely the SOFR rate, which is the secured overnight financing rate that is the successor to LIBOR. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions
Are we
from the
undertaking
board?
a review of all of our documents to, obviously for the LIBOR, but for ones that put other rates? Have we undergone a review to make sure there's a backup on the rest of them?
We have not. It's actually going to be either the lending bank or the trustee that will alert us to the specific bond issues that utilize LIBOR that do not have a fallback rate. So we've already received at least one request. We're expecting maybe a few more to come in the closer we get to June. This resolution allows us to get ahead of it. Instead of batching them all together, we can give the executive director authorization to address them as they come up.
No other questions?
This is going to be a final approval.
Yes, yeah, this is a grant of standing authority.
Hearing no other questions, any board member wish to make a motion?
Aye,
move.
Director P. Oh.
I'll second.
Okay.
Director Pinella. Mr. Fall.
Aye.
Roll call?
All right, Director Fall,
Aye.
Director Pinella,
Aye.
Director Young,
Aye.
and Chair Reed.
Aye. Motion passes. Are we going to have a treasury report, Chris, or?
There really isn't, I'm glad you brought it up. There is really no activity, so I don't really have anything to present. But for James, just to go over just a little bit, this board it's pretty, from an accounting, the financial standpoint, it's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. We make money one way. We do that by issuance fees that we earn on the bonds, and we pay money out in one way. We pay an administrative agreement or management fee to the St. Louis Development Corporation. That amount that we pay every year is set by you, the board. So whatever we take in, we have it in our account, and whatever agreement we have with St. Louis Development Corporation, which provides staffing, provides the building, the telephones, the computers. There are no staff that are employed by Industrial Development Authority. We're all employed either by city councilor or the St. Louis Development Corporation. So the fee that IDA, that you, the board, pay to St. Louis Development Corporation pays for those services. But like I said, pretty straightforward. The financial that I have, the only thing that happened this month was we earned $580 of interest. Just for a little review, when I started looking at this, I got a little surprised. If we close any more bonds deals this year, this fiscal year, which is June 30th, which I expect we will, we'll have the second best financial year we've had in 10 years. We had a really good year back in 18, but prior to that, this will be the second best. We're right at 350,000 in fees made at this point. So like I said, if we make another, I think I figured if we make another $15,000 in fees, like I said, I expect we will do that. We'll be on par for our second best year in 10 years. But we'll use those fees to pay St. Louis Development Corporation, of which we are behind. St. Louis Development does not come after us if we can't pay our full fee each year. So we're able to carry a payable. They set up a receivable on their book. We carry a payable to them, which at this time is over $580,000. I do have cash of $445,000. So between now and June 30th, most of that cash, I won't strip the board completely of all the cash, but most of that cash will be paid to St. Louis Development for prior management fees that we owed them. As I said, that they allow us to set up a payable back to them. But straightforward, we take in fees and we pay St. Louis Development Corporation. Just for your edification there, James.
Certainly appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, leave some money in the till for the coffee pot, but yeah.
You got it. You got it. That's all I have.
Well, we want to welcome you, James, to our commission, our authority. We want to welcome Laura and Solis.
Yes.
And then, of course, our legal eagle, James Morrow. So is there anything else for the good of the order? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I, Director Pinella, say, let's adjourn.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Second, we are adjourned. Thank you. We'll see each other in a month. Elections. May
Thank you.
11th.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.